Hey guys, this is Randy with Saturday Station Farm, and I haven't done any little videos for a while, and it's about time for a farm update. We've got 3 things going on. One, we've had crows stealing eggs from the chickens, so we've had to screen off the front of the farrowing barn. I'll show you that. I was supposed to be backing off this year on projects. That didn't go so well. We ended up putting in a 25 by 75 foot garden. I'll show you that real quick. And then we've got another surprise. 2 days ago, honeybees showed up. So let's go take a look. I'll show you. So for starters, we've had crows sneaking into the farrowing barn and stealing eggs from the chickens right out of their nest box. It's been ridiculous. So the chickens are pretty much free range to do whatever they want. But they do go inside of the farrowing barn in here, and there's some nest boxes set up for them, and they scratch around and they roost up in the poles up above on the cross braces. So what I've had to do is take a bunch of poultry netting. I think this came from Farm Tech. It's like a nylon or some synthetic material that has this crazy stretch. They sell it for pheasant farms, game bird farms, and the stuff is awesome. It doesn't get hung up on anything. I hear it wherever I want. I just have the tracks of wiggle wire where I would put plastic sheeting, and I just laid it over, ran the wiggle wire through it. It's up. It's perfect. Though we did have to add some pallets because the gate's not the best and the chickens are probing, trying to get out. The first few days they were pretty obnoxious, yelling at me. If I could read chicken, they were probably screaming, "Freedom!" Just wanting to get out and go move around again. Because they've been free range, nearly wild their entire lives, so confining them, they are not impressed. On the plus side, we're getting eggs now. We were getting 1 or no eggs a day at all. We fenced them off. The crows can't get in there. We're getting 10 to 12 eggs a day. So that's a pretty big jump, pretty big change. There is a possibility some chickens were laying eggs out in the woods, hidden away nests, which does happen. We get a mom hen around here with all her chicks running around somewhere, or she did the same thing. She went off and laid her eggs and hatched out a clutch of chicks. They're down there in the grasses. And so over the first few days, the crows were trying to get in. They were checking it out. I did set up a cage trap for them with an egg in it, and they were super inquisitive. I shot at one of them, and after that seemed to really discourage them. They're pretty clever. So we're gonna keep the birds in here for a couple more weeks. Usually in the evening, right around 5-ish or so, I will let them out, and then they go right for the pastures and they start gobbling bugs and stuff. I'm not so worried about the crows at that point. We've pretty much broken their cycle, but we did put in a garden this year. I'm going to show you that next, and they're just little seedlings coming up. So partly this is working out to keep the crows away and keep them out of our garden. So let's go take a look at that. All right, so you can see the garden behind us. We put in a 25 foot by 75 foot garden. We have 8 rows through here. This is all kind of like a big flat, kind of grassy. I had junk and stuff through here. So what I did was I just filled the whole bottom of this in with all the wood chips that we get from the tree trimming guys. It's probably like up to 2 feet of straight wood chips, fresh wood chips, because that's what we had. And then I topped it off 6 inches to whatever it came out to be, compost and manure. I'm probably gonna run into issues as these seedlings get bigger with need more nitrogen. There's such a high volume of carbon that any nitrogen that's available is probably gonna get taken up by the microorganisms as they break down and it becomes compost. So I think that all of our nitrogen is going to be tied up and there won't be that much for plants. You can probably see in the back, we've got little seedlings popping up. We got lots of corn, lots of squash, a whole row of sunflowers, though there is a gray squirrel that's sneaking over in here and stealing the sunflower seeds. And keeping the chickens penned up for a couple more weeks gives all these seedlings a chance to at least get a little bit higher where they can withstand chickens nibbling on them or scratching them, because they will just scratch everything and make a huge mess. This is probably the biggest garden I've had in several years. And really, it's just lots of corn. I think we have 4 different kinds, 5 different kinds of corn: popcorn, flint corn, sweet corn, and then like 6 kind of squashes and pumpkins, maybe 7 or 8 kinds of squashes and pumpkins, and then a big pumpkin patch at the end. I don't know how well this garden's gonna go. Like I said, there's a lot of carbon in here and not a lot of nitrogen, so I'm gonna start thinking about what I can do to add a nitrogen source to it, but I suspect we're gonna get some sort of degree of vegetative growth and then stalling, or maybe they'll get all the way through till fruiting and then stalling or some sort, especially if it gets really dry out. So I don't know, it's a bit of an experiment, but we figure seeds are cheap. It's better to get in the ground and play with it and go from there than not. Oh, and the last thing we got going on, which is pretty cool, we've got bees. Let's go take a look. The other day, Nate's been doing a crop tree release on all our fruit trees, our blueberries and our apples and that kind of thing. You know, there's brambles have grown over them and spruces and firs have come up, and so every morning he's been waking up and getting up super early and going around and cutting all those trees around it and basically clear cutting. He's cut way more than I ever expected him to, but it looks really good, and all our fruit trees now have lots of light around them. Well, he's getting up early, like 6 a.m. and getting after it, because as the morning goes on, there's been wasps and hornets, and every day he's been kind of cutting out of work early because the wasps and the hornets have been in his way. Well, then the other day, he comes running up the driveway, he's like, "We've got bees! We've got bees!" I thought maybe he just found a nest or who knows what, and he says, no, they're in the hive. I said, I doubt that. We haven't had honeybees forever. So we come down and we take a look, and sure enough, there's honeybees coming and going. They weren't defending the entrance. They're just like, and it appeared to be just some scout bees, you know, just kind of going back and forth. No pollen was being brought in. We let them go overnight, check the next day, and they're still coming and going. So we opened up the hive, and there really wasn't that many bees, 100 of them, a couple hundred maybe, and they just appeared to be cleaning out all the old cells. So we evicted a mouse nest and 3 mice, a family of mice, kicked them out, knocked out all the old gunk, spider webs, mouse droppings, old comb and propolis, and just cleaned everything up and trying to see what was going on. Didn't see any queens, didn't see any real workers, nothing, no one was defensive at all. Didn't even have our smoker or anything. They were super docile, it didn't matter. I went overnight, and then I went after dark, just about at dark, when I was locking the chickens back up, and peeked inside, and the box was full of bees. So they must have been scout bees coming back and forth, checking out the hive as a potential home, and then the swarm moved in at some point, and we weren't even aware of it. And sure enough, it's been 2 days now, and they're definitely guarding the front entrance. They're definitely making shop in there. You can go knock on it at night, and it's right alive with bees. I put a small protein patty in the top that I've had for years to give them a little extra nutrition and get them off the ground, because while they're searching for pollen and nectar and trying to get everything built up and new brood and new bees, and I haven't had bees for, well, probably like the garden, probably 7, 8 years or so. 6, 7, something like that. It's been quite a while. So this is super exciting because I love working with honeybees. They're a wicked rush and they're a wicked lot of fun. I suspect I get a neighbor down the way, Tom. He's got bees, so maybe when I bump into him, I'll ask him if he had any of his swarms, when any of his hives swarm. So I wonder if that's where it wound up from. So I wasn't planning on keeping honeybees this year, but we have them now, so that's super cool. So I don't know whether we're gonna try to build them up and actually try to get a honey harvest off them, or whether we'll just try to build them up and see if we can't get them through the winter so we have them for next spring. Do have an old box of honey, an old honey super, but it's like half fermented. But they could clean that up and utilize what they want, and the capped honey that's on there is still good. So maybe I'll wait till they get both brood boxes full of bees. I think next week, if the weather's good, we're gonna go back in, Nate and I, and do a full inspection of the whole thing now that we for sure know they're here. Because that first one was just kind of a rough one, not really thinking they were here, so we didn't want to put a lot of effort into it. But we'll do another big inspection next time, make sure all their combs straight, make sure things aren't off, and then let them go at it and go from there. So we're beekeeping again, so it's super awesome. So that's it. There's probably some more things, but those are kind of 3 big things that have transpired recently. We have eggs again, we got a garden coming up, and now we have honeybees. So much for slowing down this summer, but it's great to have all these little projects going. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.